Hello Pisces, and welcome to Embrace the Moon Tarot and your March 2018 Tarotscope. So I was shuffling and I immediately connected with the feeling of happiness. And the definition of happiness goes, it's not just contentment. It's just kind of, there's a sense of nothing's rocking your world that's creating unsteadiness. And I don't feel that this is an energy that is being felt by a huge quantity of Pisces, but I feel that there's a sweet pocket of you that, for the most part, there's just this sense of happiness that comes with steadiness. And I hope that comes, like, you're not feeling emotionally unstable. Ugh, that doesn't even sound good. But just, happiness is the word that comes to mind. But when I think of happiness, it's not the kind of happiness that you link to happy children or happy family, happy life. It's just this overall sense of contentment, or like, things are what they are and I'm good. Like, I can handle this. I hope that makes sense. And if that doesn't apply to you, I hope you continue watching, because I feel that even if that doesn't apply to you, there may be some things within this reading that do or does apply with you. So yeah, stay tuned if you so choose. So that overall sense that I had, I feel that is very much the beginning of March, and more so probably the first couple of days of March. There's a really good chance that by the time I get this finalized and uploaded, some of that is waning. So you may connect with that as a prior sense or a history of how you felt in retrospect versus to how you are feeling right now. Because ultimately, the predominant energy that I have coming up for you is the Two of Swords for the month of March. And this is something that is going to be, it's an energy that I feel is going to be the almost entirety of March. And it's just an overall sense of contemplation. And that contemplation is going to be filled with comparisons and contrasts. So you're just going to be having pockets of moments where you manage to have a quiet time. You look at a few things and you compare. I feel that there's comparisons and contrasts are happening in regards to looking at past and present, looking at situations and comparing and contrasting of self with others, what people do and don't have versus what you do and don't have, what it was that you used to think that you want versus what it is that you think you want now, and even comparing what it is that you want in those in your life who are prominent figures in your life, and what it is that they do and don't want, and how well they actually kind of are in parallel to each other or not in parallel to each other. And I really don't feel that this is disrupting that sense of contentment. I feel like you hit a point where you just know that this is something that you have to do, which is why that concept of happiness was a bit, it's a struggle to kind of come out, because it's not the typical concept of happiness as much as, like I said, you're not emotionally unstable. And you just recognize that you were at a point in your life where you're not exactly terribly unhappy. You just know that you want to make these comparisons. You want to take time to put in the work to look at yourself and look at your surrounding environment and really recognize what it is that is in parallel into the journey that you know you're going to be taking from here whenever you have the moment to take the first step, whether it be right now or whether it be towards the end of the month. It depends on each person's scenario. But the truth is, even if you don't recognize that you're taking a first step, these little moments where you're sitting and you're comparing and you're contrasting, these are some of the steps that you don't recognize that you're already taking in this direction. But this feels very much like it is the bulk of March, because like I said, the comparisons are vast. It's, like I said, past and present, yourself with other people, your concept of what was considered would make you happy before versus what makes you happy now. And then those within your life that play a very dominant and prominent role in your life as far as connections are concerned, and how much their life path is in parallel to yours. As a result of this, you're overwhelmed mentally with this recognition of needing to walk away and end things. The 10 of Swords is sitting in the mind realm, and this is actually going into the physical realm too, as you see the Death card there, but more on that in a second. So mentally, you're just overwhelmed with all of these comparisons that you're doing and recognizing what is not in parallel with you. Do you really have a good sense of where you're going, the direction you're going, the journey that you're on? And you are, every time that you have those pockets of moments where you're really working internally and kind of looking at and comparing and contrasting, on one hand comparing and on one hand contrasting, you're really starting to see how some of the connections that you have aren't in parallel to your path. And some of them are in parallel, but they're so far away that it's not a companion in the journey. Like their path may be going in the same direction, but it is so far off in the distance that you can see them walking and you can see their path leading, but the connection is so far away that it's not even that you can have a conversation in the journey in that direction, because of the distance between the two. And then there are other connections that you're recognizing that they're not even going in the same direction. Some of them have taken a complete left turn. Others have taken a complete right turn. Some of them kind of, they're doing circles. Some of them may have stopped because they need a moment to rest and rejuvenate and connect with parts of their own journey before they can take another step. They may need time to rest and rejuvenate and cleanse before they can do another day's journey. And so you're just really seeing your path in comparison of the paths of people in your life. And as a result of it, you are recognizing that this might mean there are some connections that you have to walk away from. And this feels very heavy as a result of it. There's no desire to hurry up and make these resolutions. It's every time you contemplate, which is why you're taking those. There's so many sweet, tiny pockets of moments where you're doing the comparisons and contrasts, because as a whole, you have no desire to finalize these observations and seeing them through. You'd like to be to the other side, but the process and the disconnection that you're going to have to go through is not something that you have really any desire to start anytime in the near future, because this isn't going to be easy. And like I said, in the physical realm, we have the Death, and I just feel that this is really in correlation to the present energy of the Two of Swords and that 10 of Swords that's in the mental realm, as far as considering what it is that you're going to have to finalize and walk away from. And eventually you will have to come to a point where you will come to circumstances that will allow you to see that this really is healthier for me to disconnect and walk away from. This really is healthier if I'm not feeding off of it and it's not feeding off of me any longer. And the resolution is going to come as a result of it. You'll still be heavy-hearted, but the clarity that you'll gain because of those moments in Two of Swords that you'll be experiencing, the clarity that you'll gain will really help you as far as giving you the strength and courage to see it through. And it doesn't mean that you have to completely walk away from these people and never connect with them again. And I think that that's where the 10 of Swords really kind of holds you back a little bit, because there's an overall sense that you have to walk away from and never connect with these people ever again, and that's what you're mourning. And the truth is, you can still have acquaintance type ties to people who may have meant something deeper to you, but you've grown in different directions. So you don't have to never see them again. You just have to recognize that the definition of the relationship that once existed does not exist anymore. And once you can recognize that, you are predominantly cutting off your definition and inflection into that relationship, into that connection, and that is allowing you to move on. And I feel that that's the biggest thing. It's not so much that you're completely walking away from these connections as much as you're walking away from how you defined those relationships before. seeing them for how they have grown into, and then allowing that to evolve into its own thing, which will help you heal and grow in the direction that you need to heal and grow. Once you manage to get through all of this, emotionally, you'll get to a point where you'll feel you have succeeded in what you have started out to do. So we have the Four of Wands in the position for the emotional status. And I just feel that there's an overall sense of understanding that you'll see the victory in the release that you go through. And like I said, it's not going to be so much needing to walk away from these connections completely, just walking away from how you define them. And as you recognize this and are able to define them in their new light and then go on your path with these new definitions, the weight of the burden from holding on to the old definitions will be let go, and you'll be having this overall sense of being able to celebrate in the new definitions and what they mean to you. Celebrate how these people can manage to stay in your life, but they're staying in a different capacity, and that's okay. It's okay for you, it's okay for them, it's okay all the way around. And I feel like this energy is going to be towards the end of the third week of March. There must be some pretty heavy aligning that happens because that seems to be something I'm saying quite frequently for the month of March in general. But just some overall clarity. So you'll feel some intensity for a while emotionally as a result of this, what you're feeling and what you're going to be experiencing, and then just trying to stay on top of it. But overall, like I said, you'll come to a point where you recognize and you'll be able to celebrate in the journey that you had, the clarity that you gained as a result of this little personal journey that you've done. And then, like I said, the definitions that you come out that help to define you, people who are in your life, your relationships with each other, your relationships with yourself, and what that means going forward. It'll just be this moment of celebrating that all is still right with the world. As a whole, I feel that this is kind of pointing you in the direction of understanding where it is that you want to go, or more appropriately, what it is you want to do in the near future. So we have the Nine of Cups, which is the Knight of Cups, which sits in the pocket of fire or passion. And I just feel that there are a lot of you that are in emotion-based jobs or emotion-based hobbies. So dealing with people in some facet that has to do with their emotional status. And that could mean many different things. And if this is true for you, you already know how this applies. Some of you already are in an established either career or hobby. And some of you have been contemplating it. And this experience is going to have you tapping into preconceived notions regarding career or hobby. And where does you want to go from here? Most of you, I feel it's going to define expansion. Either you're going to take a career turn in the career that you're already in. It's just you've kind of seen a new path or direction. Some of you have a hobby and you now understand that niche that you want to get into to make that hobby a little more than a hobby. And some of you, it is recognizing that deep inside of you, this has always been something you wanted to do, and now it's time to pursue it. But it's just really kind of tapping into the emotional, mental relationship and recognizing it through your personal journey through the month of March, and how that defines what it is that you want to do with what you've learned, what you experienced, and how you can offer something to others as a result of it. And this comes very much in the end of March, and it really feels that it's going to start you manifesting some things in April. So the thought process begins at the end of March and helps you to understand how you can analyze and kind of put together the logistics to take it to the next level of manifesting. somewhere into the month of April. So, but you're ending March with kind of really seeing this in a new light. Your strength is the Queen of Wands. So your strength is your ability to nurture yourself when you go through these experiences and help to turn it into passion and drive. So instead of getting bogged down from the emotional experience and getting to the point where you allow this Ten of Swords and the mental aspect and the death that sits in as far as the connections and redefining the relationships that sits in the physical realm, and that energy throughout the month of March of Two of Swords where you're comparing and contrasting, instead of allowing that to overwhelm you and bog you down, you have the ability to take it and transmute it, like put love into the situation and wrap it up in such a way that it kind of transmutes it into fire and passion. And that's what's going to lead you to that Knight of Cups that sits in fire and passion that you're going to experience or recognize towards the end of March. So this sits in the strength for the month. This is your strength. So anytime you get to the point where you start to feel overwhelmed by the process of comparison that you're going through, remember that your strength is to be able to look at this, send love and wrap it up in love with the emotional aspect of it, see it for what it is through the eyes of love and emotion, and manage to transmute it into passion and drive, to see this to the end, to see what it is that you need to see for yourself for expansion, and get to that point where it actually creates drive and passion in a new direction that you know is waiting for you. You just have to get through this to be able to see what's on the horizon. The obstacle feels very much the opposite of the Queen of Wands. We have the Six of Major Arcana, which is the Lover's cards, and this is just those connections. And the obstacle in these connections is that the emotional wrapping that you have with these relationships that are going to be in your mind and in the relationships that exist within your personal world, the emotional ties and bonds is going to be its own obstacle. And you already know this. Like, I've kind of hit this a little bit throughout every time I'm talking about this and this energy that's going to be present in March, sorry. Every time I've been kind of hitting on this, I've already been sort of tapping into this energy. And this is just validation. This is going to be not easy. The emotional ties and the emotional bonds that you have with these people, with these relationships, makes it really hard to let go of the current definition and allow it to become a new definition, because we really like how it used to be. We really like how these connections were. We really like how they define the relationship, because there's comfort in it and it means something. It means so much. And recognizing that that doesn't mean what it used to mean is not easy. You already know this, and this is going to be your obstacle. And I feel like this is kind of one of those, it's undeniable. This is an obstacle. This is not a potential obstacle. It is actually an obstacle. This is part of what's going to make those swords and the Ten of Swords and the mental feel so sharp and painful. But this is also letting you know that it doesn't have to control the entire energy. Honor it, see it for what it is, but then allow yourself to process it the way that you need to process it, and give it the love that it needs, transmute it so it can help to feed the passion and drive that you need for you to continue forward in your own personal journey and where that may take you. So yes, the obstacle does exist regarding your emotional ties and bonds with these individuals in relationships, but it does not have to define the energy of the entire month. You can transmute it and make it what it needs to be to spur you on your life path, your life journey. All right, Pisces, that is all I have for you for the month of March. I'm going to go ahead and pull one little final card to kind of summarize the energy or give you a mantra that you can kind of carry with you. We'll see what the universe has for you. So I have cornflower, stand up to the elements, and Neptune, voice of your muse. And they're both blue, which has to do with, it just makes me tap into the water element more than anything, and it has to tap into the emotional aspect. And I just feel like you need to do what it takes to, like I said, nurture the situation, nurture the mental anguish that you're going to be experiencing and kind of going through as you process this, and transmute it. Be your own muse. You know what you can do. You know how you can handle this. You now know how this can go. So take a hold of the situation and allow it to inspire you and give you passion and drive, and to push you forward to bigger, better things in general. All right, Pisces, that is all I have for you for the month of March. I hope it's a good one. Make it a great one. And hopefully I will see you in the next one.